5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
This is the Culture Clash.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Welcome, everybody, to the latest episode of the Culture Clash here on the Fandom Podcast Network. And we've got a very special exclusive live to the Fandom Podcast Network YouTube channel. And why might you say, Kyle, is this an exclusive episode? Because we are officially beginning, once again, Mandowatch. Season 3 of The Mandalorian is here, and we are going to be covering everything about it. But I cannot talk about The Mandalorian alone. I need an armorer. I need somebody who's going to give me the proper weapons and can babysit Grogu in a pinch too. But of course, there's only one man for that. It is the one and only Mr. Kevin Reitzel, and he has never looked better. Hey. This is a family-friendly show. No tongue action.
Hey, you can get this at Galaxy's Edge, and it comes with tongue action. What's up, man? How you doing? I'm excited.
I am excited too. We are here to talk all things Mandalorian. It is back. We have been excited for this. It's been one of the most anticipated shows coming in a while. So let's just dive right into it. But if we're going to dive right into it, Kevin, I have to do this first. I'm sorry. That is right. Major spoiler warnings. We are going to be talking everything that happened in Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 1, Chapter 17, The Apostate. Kevin, it's back. Should we be excited? I think we should be excited.
Yes, we should. Also, too, David Lozano is saying hi. He's in the chat there.
David Lozano, the man from the Star Wars Stuff podcast, who was just recently...
Right.
Joined us for True Believers talking Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. So thank you for being here, David. We appreciate it.
Also, too, I want to give him a shout out. He just got his passport for his first trip overseas. I think it's his first trip, but he's going to Star Wars Celebration soon, and he got his passport. So
that is awesome. I'm jealous. I've never been to London. London is on my bucket list.
Make it happen, dude. Make it happen.
I'm blaming some guy named Dan Hadley. I think he's blocking me or something like that.
No, wait. Speaking of spoilers, I had a little fun. And I'm going to try to keep doing this for the whole thing of Season 3 of Mandalorian, is having fun with, how people put these spoilers out without context, some random images. Well, I'm having fun with movie posters. So I picked some movie posters and TV posters that aren't Star Wars related, that kind of give spoilers to this show. I'm assuming a lot of these all make sense to you, Kyle.
Well, Kevin, I am wondering something. Are you trying to hint that Betty White is a Mandalorian?
No, I have no idea where you got that from.
Oh, well, Lake Placid, Betty White is timeless. She might as well be a Mandalorian.
No, it's a big crocodile monster coming out of the water.
No.
Come on.
I've got a story about that later. We'll get to that.
Okay. My favorite, though, was Sigmund the Sea Monster, because that pirate captain, it was the first thing I thought of. So those Sid and Marty Krofft TV series, everyone should know who Sigmund the Sea Monster is. And, of course, Tug Speedman, Scorcher.
Oh, yeah. We've got a chat user asking us where Mr. Botman is. Of course, What a Piece of Junk did a great live broadcast last night. This is Culture Clash. We are giving the clashy version of what we think of Mandalorian with our Mandowatch too.
Well, speaking of, let's give a shout out though to our What a Piece of Junk guys here. They did a live watch of the first episode last night, Thursday night, and I joined them for that. And they're going to be doing the regular show again, talking about, of course, the newest episode of Bad Batch, and probably also discussing a little more of the Mandalorian episode 1, season 3. So make sure you check out our boys there. So
yeah, absolutely. Again, too, this is a Fandom Podcast channel, YouTube network exclusive show for Culture Clash. We will be doing this for the entire run of season 3 of The Mandalorian. We're excited. We're going to have a lot of fun with this. We did this for season 2 as well. Just want to get our Mando thoughts out there as well. We can't let the What a Piece of Junk guys hog all the glory.
Yes, but we're all family here at the Fandom Podcast Network, and I'm going to shout out to whoever it is down there in Brazil. It just says Facebook user. If you want to say your name, please do so. But welcome from Brazil. We appreciate you. Yeah. Oh, I know who this is. It's my buddy Joseph, the freak. He's like, yes, he's excited for some Mando. I'm ready for some Mando.
Yeah, it would figure you knew somebody by the name of the freak.
Of course. Yeah.
Of course. Well, Kevin, we have got a lot of Mando to talk about. So how about we start things off? Why don't you give us the plot synopsis for the episode, chapter 17, I guess.
Chapter 17.
Or chapter 17?
It's chapter 17, but it's episode 1 of season 3, The Apostate. And so here we go. Guys ready? Here we go. All right. The armorer and group of Mandalorians hold a ceremony to induct a young child into the tribe. The ceremony is interrupted with an aquatic monster turtle thing that attacks the Mandalorians. They fight back, but are soon overpowered. Din Djarin arrives, killing the creature with a starfighter and revealing that Grogu has chosen to stay with him. The armorer confirms that if the mines of Mandalore still exist, Din Djarin may become a Mandalorian once more. Din travels to Navarro to meet Greef Karga, who is now the High Magistrate. Din Djarin helps Karga stop a group of pirates who have been attacking citizens in schools in Navarro. Karga offers Djarin to the newly vacated position of Marshal, but Din refuses, stating that he came to rebuild IG-11. Din successfully revives IG-11, but the droid defaults to his original violent programming as he wants to kill the little baby Grogu. Din brings his parts to a group of Anzellan mechanics who tell him that they need a new memory core to fully repair the droid. No squeezy! Bad baby! As Din leaves Navarro, the pirate crew attacks his ship, but he destroys several of their fighters and escapes. Din meets with Bo-Katan in an old Mandalorian castle, who reveals after losing the Darksaber, she has abandoned her plans to reclaim Mandalore and suggests that Din should travel there alone. So there they are. And by the way, David Lozano, do you have to put that up? Crocosaurus, is that what he said?
Yeah. Crocosaurus. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I just want to say, you know, the line out of Disney World of Florida Gators that were auditioning for that part was quite impressive. So,
all right, man.
Kevin, before our initial first impressions, you know.
Oh, you going first or me going first?
I'm gonna let you go first. You go first.
I was just happy. I felt like I was putting on a nice, warm blankie. Mandalorian was back. I expected it to be kind of a shorter episode. We'll discuss that a little bit later, but it was nice to have Mandalorian. It was worth the wait. Visuals were great. I like bright moments that we got to see. We got a little taste. We found out what Cara Dune was up to, and Moff Gideon, and a few other things. And there's some throwbacks, some Rebels, which was great. And we got this another quest thing going on. So I was excited. What about you, man?
I was excited for it to come out, and it's Mandalorian. What I liked about this episode was it felt like it kind of cleaned up some things with some connective tissue, but it kept it simple. It talked about, what brought up Cara Dune. It kind of got some connective tissue of what happened with Book of Boba Fett with just a few brief mentions. But it also brought us back some characters we hadn't seen in a little bit with Mandalorian, and kind of keeping things full circle and really putting the early pieces on the board and directions for what's going to be happening in this season of Mandalorian. And I'm really excited. Plus, it dropped some very interesting hints that I think are going to be interesting in another show, but kind of giving us a little taste of what might be coming.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I love the buzz behind it. And it was, of course, you had to have seen episodes of the Book of Boba Fett to get caught up, even though they did give us a brief what happened recently before the episode started. But I went back and rewatched everything, so I was caught up, and it was good. Did you do any rewatching, by the way?
If I would have had, I wanted to, if I would have had the time. Unfortunately, with it being tax season and still being a little more low on energy from recovering from COVID, it's been hard to watch a lot of stuff. But I think I am going to go back at some point, maybe even this weekend, depending, and at least try to rewatch season 2 over the weekend.
Give a shout out to our friends there, Richard and Sarah at Skywalking Through Neverland. Says, hello, Mando episode 1. Love the opening and the armor. How badass is the armor, dude? I love the armor. I love the fact that she even went up against the monster with her armor hammers and stuff, like no guns. She's like, I'm gonna go at you.
First of all, hey to Richard and Sarah. Always great to have you guys join us. I think for me, Kevin, too, one of the things that and this was kind of something I was wanting to point out in the episode, here's all these surviving Mandalorians kind of getting their, handed to them. And here comes Din and rescues them, blows this creature away with his amazing Naboo's Fast and Furious Starfighter, as I like to call it, because it's definitely tricked out. But they still show the man no respect afterwards. You took off your helmet. You get no love.
Well, they got rules, but you got to admit, even though they were getting their butt kicked, the Mandos were still working together and trying things out to try and take down this big monster, kind of like a big snapping turtle alligator, because the nose kind of looks like at least in the renditions, the artist renditions, that's what it comes across as. But he's still got to do stuff. He's still got to go bathe in the pool of Mandalore.
So, Kevin, one of the other things I want to bring up, and I think you have a slide of this in your wonderful slideshow. There was a moment here where we connected to, was it a little Star Wars Rebels?
A little Star Wars Rebels. Yes, we get the little traveling through hyperspace. Looks like Mando's taking a Mando nap. Grogu's looking around and he's like, sees something and gets spooked by these things, otherwise known as the Purrgil.
Yeah, Kevin, I think that was, I don't know if we'll see these again in this season of Mandalorian, but I think this was a nice little touch as a treat to give us a little preview of some of the things that are coming in Star Wars Ahsoka.
Yeah, Sarah said this was her favorite moment in the episode. And I remember Matthew Clifton did a shout out on this too. And I thought it was so cool because these creatures were very crucial to the end of that series and where things kind of left off. And these creatures that are flying through hyperspace, these kind of space whales, got to give a shout out to Star Trek for the Voyage Home, whales. But yeah, this was really cool. A nice little touch, man. Great little touch.
Yeah, that as soon as that happened, I'm like, yeah, that was Filoni's influence all the way. So, Kevin, another thing that was I really enjoyed about this episode too was the return of our favorite babysitter in a kind of sort of way, and Mr. IG-11.
Babysitter or baby killer?
I guess it depends on the programming of the day.
Yes, yeah, I like that we got the statue outside, but I think that because it was kind of a big deal in this episode, they're going to come back to this. And I don't know why. Maybe he needs them for part of the mission because he's a droid, or maybe Din is attached to him. Maybe, I don't know.
I think it's a combination of things. It was very obvious, I think, in this episode there was a little bit of attachment, but he probably needs a droid to send down to Mandalore first to explore because he doesn't know if Mandalore is poisonous, and he ain't taking Grogu down there if it's poisonous.
Yeah, it's I know some people are like, why are we doing this? Why are we bringing this droid back here? But I just thought it was interesting that he reverted back to his original programming, but definitely added to some drama there. Interesting scene as well. So yeah.
I made this comment in the What a Piece of Junk chat last night. Why are there? You'd think this planet would have at least a Radio Shack. I mean, come on.
Why do you need a Radio Shack though? When you got friends that can, help fix things, right? So is that,
yeah, well, and you have such an amazing translator like Grief Karga. I mean, come on. He needs a new memory chip. I would have never guessed. I just would have never guessed. But we have a problem when your repairmen are just as cute as your baby, and your baby loves them. They really can't get work done.
This was a scene I didn't ask for, but I needed. I just want to say, the little, oh God, what are the aliens called? The Anzellans. First scene, of course, in Rise of Skywalker. Nice to know they're around still, and that they are almost as okay. They're adorable. Let's just put it this way: they're cute. But when you see Grogu wanting to hug one, I mean, it's so cute.
Okay, Kevin. While we have this up here, Disney, you are so missing the boat because we see the image from the end credits. They need to sell these prints.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
I mean, this Grogu one alone would make them a small fortune. Not that Disney needs more money, but
Kevin's new sidekick for the Raider games. I love it.
Yeah, Kevin, I gotta say, I don't think your Grogu hugs as well as he's hugging here. You might not be cute enough.
He does all right.
But there was just so much fun in this episode, Kevin. I really liked how it's kind of really set up things.
We'll get into that later. We're going
to get into that later. But there was one other moment in this episode to me that really was kind of an important moment, and I'm curious of your take on that because we see the return of Bo-Katan.
Yes,
and
yes.
Bo is not in the best of places right now.
She's sulking a little bit. She's sitting in her one, her little throne there all by herself in this giant empty Mandalorian mansion. Is that what she does all day, or is she just really is she meditating? What's she doing? Pilates, yoga?
I said it last night in the What a Piece of Junk chat. She's just debating what really happened to Starbuck.
we're all kind of debating what really happened to Starbuck. Yeah, I don't even remember that. I got to go back and revisit that, or should I? I don't know. But yeah, no. It was nice to see though. Bo-Katan back, Katie Sackhoff, she's great. But also too, she gave a little exposition for us too of where she was with her fellow Mandalorians that kind of walked away from her, I guess, because she don't have the Darksaber. But it doesn't seem the Darksaber doesn't seem very important to Din right now, the Mandalorian. He's got other stuff going on. I don't know.
Let me ask you this, Kevin, just as a little piece of speculation. Do you think Bo-Katan could break bad this season?
I think it's very possible. That would be very interesting if she were to become a villain, although would she have done it already? I don't know. That's interesting. She let Din go. So yeah.
I one of the most fascinating things to me that's going on, at least in this episode too, with this area, is seeing the near resentment she has for Din Djarin and his group look at the religion of Mandalore, and how she looks at them as extremists.
Yeah, they're fractured, and it's sad in a way, and that's going to be obviously the thread going forward in this season is Din going to be the one to unite them? But the thing is, he hasn't shown that he wants to do anything like that. He's got this thing about wanting to become a Mandalore again because he needs to atone for taking off his helmet. So in the Armorer's eyes, he's the one that he's trying to appease to, when he should also try to do the same to Bo, but he hasn't gotten that reason for it yet. So I find that interesting.
Yeah. Any other moments for you, Kevin, that you want to talk about with this episode?
I want to talk about the pirates real quick here. The Vane character I thought was interesting. We get to see these. Was it a Nick-2 in live action, I guess, so to speak? The pirate captain though really threw me. I originally thought of Sigmund the Sea Monster.
I'm thinking Swamp Thing. Got the Swamp Thing vibe. All together for me. But I gotta say, amazing makeup jobs in this episode.
Definitely. And it's nice seeing these characters that you would only see with masks that didn't have any movement or articulation from the original trilogy. And, it's nice to see that these pirates are a thing now. I think there'll be threats going forward, and they should be, because this is kind of lawless time now that the Empire is fractured and on the run. You got the rebellion trying to mop things up. you know, and so this will be interesting to see what's happening with these guys. What about you? Anything else that jumped out at you?
Actually, something that actually made me think of you as I was watching it, and that was how bright this episode was.
You know, it's funny you say that. The opening scene when he first goes to Navarro is pretty cool, I gotta say. You know, it's I think I got it here. Hold on, I want to bring it up here. Is this it here? Yeah, right here. Check this out. I love how bright everything is here. A lot of detail in the backgrounds. Got an R5 type of droid going on there. There was another, you saw the Kowakian monkey lizards hanging around in trees. And then there was another alien that had some other weird like bat creature on their shoulder. And I couldn't quite figure out who that was. We've got a Facebook comment here. The Pirate King has turned into an instant favorite for me. Please let me know who you are, because I'm kind of curious about that. I'm curious. I need to see a little bit more from him to like him. And maybe that was a Minoc that was on that person's shoulder. That's a good call. I was thinking about that. Yeah.
One of the things too that I liked when we had the space battle where Din is fighting the pirates, even that seemed bright.
Yes.
Like you could really see what was going on. And I'm hoping this is going to be a trend throughout this series. And I hope it's going to start a trend in science fiction, because I know we talk about this when we talk about Star Trek right now. Star Trek, most of the shows, except for Strange New Worlds of the live action shows, are very dark. And it's,
I've had issues with that.
It's kind of been an issue thing. But Kevin, there is one other moment, and I think you know which one I'm talking about, because I'm feeling the need for some candy.
Okay, so is Grogu, and I want to put this out to the listeners and the watchers out there, is Grogu using his force abilities a little too, I mean, it's kind of like not going and getting the remote, not getting it yourself, but using the force. He's like, you know, he's using the force to spin the chair because you can hear it, you know, and you can see him kind of do it. And he's using the force to get food. Is he getting lazy? I mean, it lends to some very funny moments, but I'm like, did Luke not teach him anything about, you know, not just always using the force for everything?
Okay, first of all, are we sure Luke is a good teacher? I mean, let's be honest here.
That's a whole different thing.
No, I'm just throwing that out real quick. But the other thing is, come on, Grogu is basically maybe in human years 8-10 years old. He's got a new toy to play with. He's gonna use it for everything. Come on
now. For you guys listening and watching, let us know what other favorite moments you like. But we got some trivia coming up soon, though, don't we, Kyle?
Yeah, you went on the search through the books of Mandalore and found some trivia on this episode, Kevin.
Oh, I did. Let's go ahead and let's get a little transition here. All right, so the I'm gonna see if I pronounce this right here. So here's some trivia here. Kalevala, the name of the planet Din and Grogu visit to see Bo-Katan, has a different meaning in our real world. Kalevala is the name of an epic poem from Finland, a tale containing singing wizards and sea monsters.
I think we came close to having both of these things in this episode, Kevin.
Yes.
Definitely your sea monster for sure.
Definitely. Okay, so also the Anzellan technicians were voiced by Shirley Henderson, who also provided the voice of the fellow Anzellan, Babu Freak, in, of course, Rise of Skywalker that came out in 2019. All of her production sounds she had recorded for Babu Freak were preserved, and some of the voice clips that didn't make it into the film were used in this episode.
Speaking of that, Kevin, I'm having a hard time understanding you. Do you speak Huttese?
What's this? Is Grogu the same age as Groot, acting the same way? Nice.
I don't think he's quite there at Groot's level, but I think we're not that far off from Grogu puberty. I'm just saying.
Okay, and as we mentioned, the shadowy figures, when they were traveling through hyperspace, are the Purrgil, massive space whales that travel through space and have the ability to travel through hyperspace. This is the first time a Purrgil has been seen in live action. When the Naboo starfighter that Din is piloting is traveling through hyperspace, Grogu spots them in a blur of blue lights. These creatures were first introduced in Star Wars Rebels: The Call back in 2016. And the last time the Purrgil were seen in Star Wars was in the Rebels finale, when Purrgil took Ezra Bridger and Grand Admiral Thrawn to never be seen again until Ahsoka. We will see. Last I got here for you was the Mandalorian attempts to fix the old android IG-11. It awakens, falls off the table, and crawls legless along the floor with glowing red eyes, reciting that it must terminate its target. This is likely an homage to the end of Terminator 1984, James Cameron, where the metal endoskeleton android crawls legless along the floor, attempting to kill Sarah Connor. I got those vibes right away, and I thought that was really cool, Kyle.
I thought it was very cool, but you know what, Kevin? IG-11 was not the star droid of this episode. You know who was?
Who? What? Oh, wait, hold on. Who is the star? I think I know. They were the hardest working droids in the episode. We are, of course, talking about Grief Karga's cape droids. I don't have a picture of them, but yes, Grief Karga has cape droids.
That's a new one, I gotta tell you.
Yeah, that, I didn't expect that from Grief. Maybe some, like, I don't know, some other characters that you would like. Maybe some. I'm surprised more senators on Coruscant don't have like cape droids. Yeah, there was a question here. I thought IG-11's torso was blown up. How is it still in peace and error? So I looked at that scene again, and at least in the recap, I don't know, maybe the thermal detonator kind of blows out. So I don't know. That's a good question. It might have been maybe kind of a little rewrite on that so they can bring him back. I don't know if you can, as we know from thermal detonators, they usually blow up everything, but maybe there's different versions of thermal detonators. Okay, Kyle, what are your thoughts?
He was also standing in a river of lava. I mean, let's.
Yeah, standing in a river of lava. That's true. Yeah,
they recovered an awful lot of him. Even I gotta kind of. I think if it would just been the head, that would have been one thing. But that's an awful lot of body that was recovered after a thermal detonator while standing in the lava river, being shot at by stormtroopers. But just saying, plot device. The Force works in mysterious ways.
But the question is, why does Din want him so bad?
I honestly think it is because he wants to have him for Mandalore because he doesn't know how well life can exist on Mandalore right now.
Right. Yeah. So.
But that kind of wraps up our trivia. But we do have some discussion points we want to hit, and we might even have an orbital bomb or two to drop about things that are happening right in fandom right now. But let's get into some of our main episode topics. So when we did Mandowatch season 2 for here on the Culture Clash, one of our things we did was we kind of picked 2 or 3 topics from each episode and kind of put a focus on a couple of things that really would stand out to interest and kind of wanted to get your thoughts on as well. And so we've got a few topics here that we do want to talk about. And topic 1, Kevin, is, I think, very important. The anticipation level on the return of the Mandalorian. And we're going to throw into this as well the length of the episode and how it is such a setup episode for what looks to be a pretty important season of the Mandalorian.
Yeah, definitely. My anticipation was high, dude. I went back and rewatched the entire first and second season, and I wanted to kind of get in the mood for it and look at all the other little things too. And little things that I was thinking about. I loved seeing Cobb Vanth and I was missing the chemistry between Cara and the Mandalorian themselves, and kind of curious how they're going to, address Cara Dune's character not being around, at least for now. But I was there's all these little things that I was kind of going back to like certain episodes that I didn't think that I would liked as much, but I found new things to kind of enjoy that I didn't really take advantage of the first time that I did. And it totally got me in the mood. My anticipation was high. Was yours?
I was coming in this very high. It's an interesting time, I think, in Star Wars because we came off this phenomenal, critically acclaimed show with Andor, and Mando's a different thing, but Mando is just fun for me. I love the world of the Mandalorian, obviously the relationship between Mando and Grogu, but one of the things that I just find so much fun is the way the Mandalorian kind of has opened up some of the Star Wars universe too, and we're seeing some different things and from different perspectives. And what I loved about this episode so much was it pulled us right in, and it didn't give us a ton of what's previously happened in the first two seasons of Mandalorian. It was smart in the fact that I think it was very well paced for what the time length of the episode was, but it never really stopped moving with the storytelling. The storytelling stayed strong throughout and consistent. There was never any time where it felt like the episode bogged down.
That's a good point, Kyle. And I thought it was well paced, and I heard there's always people that complain about it. And one of the complaints I heard that was that not much happened. I guess some people wanted more. And in some case, some people I think wanted longer episodes. We've always wanted longer episodes, Kyle. We've brought this up. And the fact that we got 12 episodes of Andor and a little bit longer episodes, we kind of want that from The Mandalorian, but we're not going to get it. We're going to get eight episodes, and they're probably going to average around 35, 40 minutes each. And those complaints are definitely valid, but I was trying to think of what else could they have done in this episode, but they want to keep us waiting. And this is a setup episode. A lot of stuff was introduced in it. Nothing concluded really. And I think that's okay. It'll be interesting to see where we go with the next episode with Mandalorian. But I do wish there was more than 8 episodes. I mean, at least 10, 12 would be nice if you're going to give us only 35, and there's 7 minutes of credits as well.
Yeah.
But yeah. What about you? What is your feeling on the time?
I think for this episode, it worked well because this episode was designed to be kind of bang, 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 bang. Get the points across and get us set up for what's going on. What I wish the Mandalorian would do, though, is give us longer episodes, like at least the last couple of this, whatever season count will be. Make those last couple episodes really mean something. I can almost kind of understand why they are wanting quicker episodes, because this is the kind of show where they want to appeal not only to the adult viewers, but they do want it to appeal to the younger viewers because you have Grogu there and stuff like that. And they're thinking attention span as well.
Right.
And so you're trying to bring it. So I think Mandalorian is kind of like in this middle ground where sometimes they can get away with longer episodes, but I think they kind of have this thing of about 35, 40 minutes tops, unless it's like a finale or something like that. But I don't think you're ever going to see episodes of The Mandalorian hit those Cassian Andor length episodes that we had with that show.
One of the comments, I don't know your name, Facebook user, but I need some more Bill Burr. I am in a complete 100% with you there. I need more Bill Burr. He was at the Mandalorian premiere, Bill Burr, and I would love to see him come in. Can you imagine? What if he came to Navarro and maybe took up if Cobb Vanth doesn't do it, take up like a legitimate job there as either the marshal or something else? Because I would love to see him. And one of my favorite episodes of that, with the exception of the last episode of Luke, is the one with him when they go to that planet, and there's that wonderful moment with him and his old commander that he ends up killing. It's just fantastic episode. I need more Bill Burr as well.
Kevin, I also want to ask you about this. I've mentioned this a few times. How do you feel about this? How this episode was used as being a setup for the season? Because I really did get that feeling.
I'm completely fine with it. A lot of stuff was introduced. We had some explanation, and as well, which is important to kind of get people caught up, because I'm sure people went into this not having watched the episodes of the Book of Boba Fett, and we're going like, huh? Which I find weird. But, I guess Book of Boba Fett didn't, do it for people, or like, I'll just watch Mandalorian. So I don't know.
I think a lot of people on Book of Boba Fett kind of jumped ship before it became Mandalorian season 2.5. So I think a lot of people might be going to revisit that now.
Yeah.
I'm going to be curious about that. But Kevin, I want to move on to topic number 2, because I think this is part of, again, the season setup, but Mando gets not one, but 2 really big quests going on now for him. He, of course, is looking for redemption, going to Mandalore, looking to bathe in the living waters to redeem.
By the way, real quick, did you see all of the Prince Purple Rain memes going out with that? With the Mandalorian head over Prince's head? I thought those were great. Anyways. And the other quest. Sorry.
The other quest is to find a memory chip. Now, again, why there aren't more Radio Shacks in a galaxy far, far away is beyond me. Not even a corner Best Buy. Come on now.
By the way, I just want to mention real quick. Yeah, the names on Facebook aren't appearing through the YouTube here. So if you want to show your name, go to YouTube and chat and put your stuff in the chat there. It'd be a little bit easier because then your YouTube name will show up there. I'm sorry. But yeah, so he's got 2 quests. He's had a lot of quests though. He had quests to get Mandalorian in full armor, take the kid under his wing, take the kid to see a Jedi. He also had a quest to go find the Jedi. He had lots of quests. He's like, yeah.
But here's the thing, Kevin, that I think is different for these quests compared to the quests he had in earlier seasons. These seem much more. These are personal quests. These aren't. He's been giving a mission or anything like that. These are personal quests for Din, and so this is something that's kind of new here. Yes, trying to find Grogu, but he was still kind of like that was his assignment from the weapon art. Find the young, get him where he needs to go. These are his personal choice.
Yeah. I'm just finding it weird though that the Darksaber is just kind of like this object to him right now. He doesn't quite grasp how important it is. And I think that because he's a very smart man. And my only issue is that he's not taking that thing as serious as people think that he should. Probably mostly is because he's now a guardian. And to him, the most important thing to him right now is redeeming his Mandalorian status through what is it? The Night Watch, the people that keep their helmets on. I'm forgetting the name.
Yeah, I believe so. But yeah, Kevin, what I find interesting about it too is at least with the Darksaber, which I do think is going to take play later in the season, especially with Bo-Katan. I think we're not even done with that yet. But I think for him, he doesn't want leadership. He doesn't want that role. He just wants to be a Mandalorian, respect his beliefs as a Mandalorian. And I think there's still 1 or 2 floating around randomly, David Lozano. I'm just saying.
There's a few Radio Shack somewhere, yes.
Independently owned. It's like that. It's probably in like that Bend, Oregon, where the last Blockbuster video is.
Yeah.
But no, I think he just really doesn't. It's kind of shown he doesn't care about being the leader or anything. He was ready to hand it to Bo-Katan right after he got it. And
is it hanging from? Is it hanging from him anywhere? Is it visible?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like back behind him.
Okay.
The hilt is back behind him. But you remember, right? He had a hard time using it, so I don't think he tries to use it that often either.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with that thing. I wouldn't be surprised if that thing eventually gets destroyed, but that's another side story there. So yeah.
I want to bring up this point. Zalar, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I disagree with you here. I don't think it's a stall forever program like The Walking Dead had. You
mean problem?
Yeah, problem. Yeah. I don't think with that because one, these seasons are too short to really have that. And I think
do you mean like we get these filler episodes and then that type of thing and it slows it down?
Well, that and just plot points hanging out and not really spending 4 seasons on Herschel's farm. That kind of but no, I think in this case too, because you have other shows that are kind of tying in together with this. There's a bigger story at play here. And I think these things are going to get addressed. I think I trust in Filoni to have a plan. And I even though Favreau said, I have no idea how the Mandalorian's ending. I haven't gotten that far yet. They're having too much fun. Let them have their fun.
When I look back at seasons 1 and 2, the only real kind of filler episode, in my opinion, and if you guys disagree with me or if you think I'm missing one, let me know, is the one I think in the second episode where they go to he's transporting the frog lady. And he eventually gets to the planet where the Mandalorians, and that's where we meet Bo-Katan. But that whole like going up against the ice spider and Grogu eating the little frog lady eggs and that kind of thing. that could be a character building arc there between those two, and you know, giving them, and also we get Dave Filoni and the X-Wing fighters kind of reconnecting with him again. Was it necessary? No, but it was interesting. If you have to get down to it. But if I'm missing another one you guys think that might be considered filler, but to get to your point though, Kyle, I think that each of these episodes have a lot to say and a lot to add towards the ongoing arc in mythology here.
And to address both the Freak and Zalar things here, Grogu already looks like he's growing, and Grogu isn't just a sidekick anymore. He is the Mandalorian's family. They have a bond, and I think that's been established. He's more than just a sidekick, and I think if, depending on how long this show runs, the growth of Grogu and what he starts turning into is going to be a major storyline throughout the Mandalorian. But I'll be curious to see where that goes.
I want to rent. My buddy Joseph here says, "So is Grogu not the main mission now?" I want to get that back up there, Kyle. Okay, hold on. Okay, let me do it. I got it. Okay, so the reason why I want to bring up this comment here is, where does Grogu fit it now? My buddy Lee, our friend Lee Fillingsness, he mentioned on social media that he was a little bummed, and I think other fans have said this too. That, and keep in mind, some that have not seen what happened in Book of Boba Fett, is that we thought that Grogu was supposed to go off to Luke and learn how to be a Jedi. We want to see what Mando does on his own. But there's a narrative out there saying that because he's so cute, he sells lots of stuff, Disney was like, nope, you got to bring Grogu back. He needs to now be part of the story. If that happened, I wouldn't be surprised. But the way that I look at it, though, and I thought it was very cool that they did, at least in a way to keep Grogu back in the story, is to not only give Mandalorian a lone wolf and cub and a guardian type of story, and raising someone like that and changing his personality and his story, but the fact that Grogu was given a choice by a Jedi Master, Luke Skywalker, and challenged the Jedi old creed or code of no attachments. There's definitely attachments there. He says Luke gave him the choice: Yoda's lightsaber or the Mandalorian chainmail armor. And he chose the Mandalorian armor. And that means that he made a choice. And so that, I find that actually interesting, that because we don't get a lot of stories of Jedi challenging that type of deal of attachments, the exception of the biggest one, Anakin, keeping that secret with Padme. So I find that interesting, and I like to see this, and I like all the little moments. When I was doing my rewatch of season 1 and 2, there are these great little moments with Grogu, and before we knew his name too, and Mando, and I think those are fun. I do think there is a of it happening too much possible problem in the future. Make sure it's not too cute. That's why I hope we see Grogu go a little dark. That's why he's using his force abilities. Let's see him be bad for a little bit. Let's see what happens.
Those are very interesting points too, Kevin, because I think there's a lot more Grogu story to be told. But come on, let's face the truth. We all know what the real reason is. It is the Pedro Pascal, I must have a child with me in every project I do clause in his contract. But
definitely.
But you know what? Speaking of Grogu, we all do love Grogu and his cuteness, which brings us to our third topic, Kevin. Episode fun factor. This episode was so much just pure fun. And there's so many great little moments in this episode. It reminded me actually a lot of the episode where we get introduced to Cobb Vanth in season 2 of The Mandalorian. That was just a fun episode. It was different than this, but it was still a fun episode.
The Krayt Dragon and everything. Yeah.
But this episode had me laughing out loud in several moments.
Pick one. Which one jumped out at you?
Oh, come on. The whole Grief Karga translating.
Yeah. Yes, definitely.
And everything with that moment, Grogu hugging him and not really wanting to let him go.
Yeah, like when they're traveling in space and he sees the space whales, and he has a little tiny pathway from his little Grogu dome seat that he can go back into the cockpit and then go underneath Din's arms while he's sleeping and get cuddled by him. How cute is that?
Oh, come on. I was having memories of my kitties sleeping in my lap.
I know, yeah. And, you know, and probably, as we mentioned, the most fun scene, of course, is when Grogu sees oh gosh, forgetting their names, the Anzellans. That was definitely a lot of fun. Was it too corny, Kyle?
I don't think so. I think for this episode, because I think this is going to be one of those seasons, it's going to get heavier as it goes along. So let's start off with some light fun. Come on, everything with the pirates was fun. They want to go to, it's like, it's not a saloon anymore. It's a school, but we're going to drink here anyway. The fact that, you know, like, we get to see his little Fast and Furious action with his super hyperdrive on the Naboo starfighter.
Oh God, how awesome! How that starfighter alone is fun.
Yeah,
give me a 3 and quarter. I'm sorry, an action figure version, so I can, you know, stick some Mando character in there, a little baby Yoda as well.
HasLab,
give me that toy.
HasLab, you gave us a Razor Crest. Come on now.
Yeah, give me the Naboo.
Give us the Ferrari of the Mandalorian.
Yeah,
but no, I just think the fun factor in this episode across the board was great. I think even when how he comes and saves the rest of the Mandalorians at the beginning is fun, where he just blows the creature away while the rest of them are just struggling with it.
Yeah, you kind of wonder, like, oh, this guy again. We got to get a quote here. Solaris says, by the way, they just nailed the pirate logic in this episode. They were trying to kill Mando in space. Mando fights back, and what the Pirate King says, "You just killed 4 of my fighters."
You know, I have to admit, though, I was kind of thinking, are we going to get a Hondo Ohnaka appearance?
It has to. He's around. We have to. Are we waiting for the right moment, I guess? I don't know.
I don't know. We might. I don't think we're done with pirates yet for this season. So I think there's still an outside chance. I mean, we got Cad Bane in Book of Boba Fett. I don't see why it's not time to get a proper live action Hondo Ohnaka. I'm just saying. But Kevin, one thing that we also came up with during last season's Mandowatch was, and it's carried on through Culture Clash. We haven't had one in a while, but we call it the orbital vomit because, you know what, it's the only way to be sure, Kevin. You know, we discussed that, but you know what, Kevin? I actually have one for this week. So, watch out, guys! Okay,
the day after.
The day after Fallout, A Boy and His Dog, all that kind of stuff. I actually have something that's been on my mind with Star Wars for a while, and I think it's actually a problem that is in the Star Wars universe. I love Mandalorian. I loved Andor. I'm excited for Ahsoka. But there is a problem with Lucasfilm and the Star Wars universe, and it is that Lucasfilm is scared to death to leave the timeline of the Skywalker saga. Yes, we have Acolyte coming, but you don't hear any other announcements other than some stuff with Star Wars Visions, which I loved. Kevin, I know you're not a big animation guy, but that was one of the things I loved about Visions, was getting stories that were decades, if not centuries, after the events of the Skywalker saga, and getting some very interesting things. It is time for Lucasfilm to get out of the Skywalker sandbox and let us see different time frames and different, whether it's in the past or in the future or somewhere else in the galaxy. And let's see something new and refreshing and build something new with Star Wars. And thank you, because I love Visions. Visions is probably one of my favorite Star Wars things that's happened in the last few years, but Kevin, we need that. I think as much as great as Dave Filoni is, and as great as Jon Favreau have been with Mandalorian, as much as I love Andor and seeing that dark underbelly.
I need you to clarify. Mm-hmm. When you say the Skywalker saga, are you saying within the realm that the main Skywalkers are still around and alive, or that they are actually in shows? Because right now we have this whole Mandoverse that is happening during the time of the Skywalker.
Oh yeah, we've seen Luke.
So clarify.
Something that is outside of the realm of timeline-wise of episodes 1 through 9.
Okay, I disagree with a little bit of that. I still want ties to the Skywalker saga. I'm still bitter that it was out there that they wanted to let the Skywalker saga die, because there are so many stories that were left untold. And I think the Lucasfilm Disney toe should always be in the water of the Skywalker saga, because there's so much there that is unexplored. Whether you do it in animation, whether you do deep fake, recast, and you need to throw in an iconic character from the original trilogy, like they did with Luke Skywalker here in The Mandalorian. But yes, I do want to see other stuff. I would love to see the Ancient Jedi. That's fine. I would love to see another timeline. I'm just hesitant about anything happening during the sequel trilogy, because I felt like that was force fed us, and that they just kind of tried to close the door on the Skywalker era. They did that with Galaxy's Edge. They said the only Star Wars that you're going to see from now on is sequel era stuff. And I don't think that was the right thing to do. I think that you need to always come back to the Skywalker saga, because there's so much stuff that's happening, and they're doing a good job with the Mando verse. We're going to have Ahsoka. We're going to see stuff happen from Rebels come through the Ahsoka stuff, the Grand Admiral Thrawn stuff. And I hope that all leads to a movie, as it's rumored. It's been 2019 since we had a movie, and 2025, I guess, is the next movie, I guess. So,
yes. And
I want to see other Star Wars take place during other times. It doesn't have to have any mention of any Skywalker stuff, but it's hard to do that without Jedis and lightsabers, because the mass Star Wars fans needs to see Jedis and lightsabers, unfortunately. And that's what I loved about Andor. It was so refreshing to not have that.
Yeah. Well, Zla brings up the fact. My problem is actually with the movies, and I think that is a big issue right now, because what movie is on the horizon? Rogue Squadron seems to be off the board.
Yeah,
we really haven't had any announcements. And where are they going to go? To me, they still say the Rian Johnson trilogy is alive. I'll believe that when I see it. That's a whole other conversation. But there's room for both, Kevin. There's room to continue telling stories during the time frame of the Skywalker saga, but there's so much more to explore. And that's my point. Let's broaden the world. Let's not keep it condensed in this bubble.
No one seems to be interested in the High Republic book series. The Acolyte, I think, takes place towards the end of it or near it. Yeah. But the Legends books are still outselling any of the new non-Legends books. People are still gobbling that up. I was at a Barnes and Noble this weekend. All the books, with the exception of a few, were mostly Legends.
Yeah.
I think they would go back and revisit those just for fun, kind of have an alternate verse,
Well, and I think that was kind of the great, like we talked about with Andor. There was no Jedi. We knew they existed, but we were seeing a different side of the world. So I'm fine if they do that with the Skywalker saga, but I just think it's time to open up the doors even more to Star Wars, instead of just holding on to these things. But that's just my feeling on it. I think there, like I said, at the end of the day, there's room for both. I just would like to see them get brave and take some chances with Star Wars. And outside of what Tony Gilroy did with Andor, as much as I love Mandalorian, you're still kind of working within a net, because you're still in that kind of that time frame and still have some of these classic characters that we love in them. Lucasfilm, try working without a net for a little bit. Let's see what you can do.
Knights of the Old Republic, come on, or early Sith. I don't know. So yeah.
I got to bring this up too. Rogue One is my second favorite movie of all Star Wars movies. A lot of people have really moved Rogue One up over the last few years.
I just want to give a shout out to Solo. I watched that again recently, and I just got a new 4K TV. It was gorgeous, and it wasn't as dark as I remember. Just such a fun movie. Alden Ehrenreich was just great as Han. I know some people don't like it, but man, that movie's fun. I would love to see a sequel to that. I thought the cast was great.
I think you have a little Alden Ehrenreich bias going on right now, and I will explain that here in just a few minutes. But guys, we're going to kind of wrap up this section of Mandalorian chat. But you know what? This is Culture Clash, and we cover all the things in fandom. And there are a couple of quick news pieces we want to hit. So let's do a little fandom news. So, Kevin, just a couple of quick things. Our first story is actually something we're just going to mention it here. We're going to dive deeper into it on our next episode of Union Federation that we're going to record tomorrow, which is going to be talking about Picard's season 3, episode 3. But I want to bring this up here because I think it's pretty major. Alex Kurtzman put out a statement yesterday saying Star Trek Discovery is ending with season 5. I don't know if that's a huge surprise. I think a lot of people are surprised at the fact that we are not going to see season 5 of Star Trek Discovery until 2024.
That must be a strategic reason why they're pushing it off. Maybe they had an open in the scheduling for 2024 because a lot of stuff's supposed to be coming out this year for Star Trek, and they want to make sure that it has its focus and attention. Probably, I'm guessing soon after the new year into 2024. I'm fine with it ending.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest,
it's my least favorite of all the new Trek.
Yeah. I think Discovery has been a Trek show that has been pretty divisive between the fans. Now, I will say, some people complain about the Michael Burnham centricness of Star Trek Discovery. I do think Sonequa Martin Green has actually been a phenomenal actress in that role and has done a lot of things. But it's the end of Discovery.
We'll address that conversation in Union Fed, which is our Star Trek and Orville podcast coming out soon, because we're going to be discussing the newest episode of Picard's episode 3. So make sure you check that out.
Yeah, absolutely. But I have found another news topic because, Kevin, when I saw the headline for this, it was 3 people who we all agree with, that you and I at least agree with, that you put this combination together, nothing but fun could happen. John Cena, Awkwafina, and Simu Liu are teaming up for a new action comedy film, Grand Death Lotto.
Grand Death Lotto. Explain the plot really quick, and I love it. Explain it to our listeners and watchers out there.
Okay, well, first of all, this is a new film from Paul Feig, which is being set up at Amazon Studios. Feig is directing a script by Rob Yescombe, which is described as follows, this coming from Deadline. The film is set in a very near future in which a grand lottery has been established in economically challenged California. The only catch? You need to kill the winner before sundown in order to legally claim the prize. New LA transplant Katie, played by Awkwafina, finds herself with the winning ticket and must join forces with amateur jackpot protector Noel, John Cena, to make it to sundown in order to claim her multi-billion dollar prize, all while dealing with Noel's protection rival, Lewis, who's played by Simu Liu, who also wants to get her to sundown in order to claim his rich protection commission.
By the way, hold on real quick. John Mosby's in the chat, says, did I miss the bit in The Mandalorian where Grogu is bitten by a sentient fungus?
No. We discussed this, John. Grogu ate the fungus.
Yeah. Interesting concept. Back to what you were just talking about a being able to fight for a winning lottery ticket. That sounds like a Hunger Games version comedy wrapped around winning a lottery ticket. So that'll be interesting.
I still think people highly underrate John Cena's comedy chops. I'll say Peacemaker, but if you haven't seen the movie Vacation Friends on Hulu, I'm telling you, it's a must see. Cena is absolutely hilarious.
I'm sorry, what movie?
Vacation Friends.
Oh, okay. He was also good. He was also very funny as a father in Blockers. He was pretty funny.
Well, he was very good in Blockers as well. And of course, we know the chemistry between Awkwafina and Simu Liu from their work together on Shang-Chi and the 10 Rings, and I thought they made a good pairing. So I just think this is going to be fun. It might not be the best of movies, but I think it's going to have some great fun factor to it. But you know what, too? This is Culture Clash. Not only are we going to bring you fandom news, we're going to bring you some fandom reviews. And Kevin, you've got one for us, so it's time to do a little
buy it, stream it, or unsee it.
Now, before we get into this movie, Kevin, I just want to say I'm highly disappointed you didn't snag me one of the theater handouts and send it to me.
I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, so I did a little movie double feature. I went to the movie theater because it was rainy here and I had the day off, and I wanted to see Ant-Man again because I had some questions. But I was like, I want to see something else. And so I went to go see Cocaine Bear, baby. Hour and 30 minutes, a very, very funny movie. I highly recommend it. Great funny cast too. Hilariously violent, Ray Liotta's last film. He was good in it too. Alden Ehrenreich was in it as well. And I just want to say this, Alden Ehrenreich now has the, I don't know how you would say this, but the weird, quirky opportunity to have had 2 hairy beasts fall on him.
Okay, Kevin. This movie, directed by Elizabeth Banks, who I think has become is a very good director, but also a little bit underrated, especially when it comes to her comedy chops. Obviously, she was involved in directing some of the Pitch Perfect films, has done a few other things. This movie's getting good reviews, and it's actually got a pretty decent score out there on the Metacritics.
Oh, it's so much fun. And it's based on a true story. And what's really cool is at the beginning of the movie, it isn't really spoiling anything, but they actually show you real live footage of news reports that started this whole thing in '85, where there was a a parachutist that was found dead in Knoxville, Tennessee, because his parachute didn't open, and a bunch of cocaine was being dropped, and there was a bear that ingested some cocaine. Unfortunately, it passed away, and I think it's actually been stuffed and taxidermied, and it's been on tour.
It's on tour as part of the movie promotion.
Yeah, but they decided to make their own little fictional tale of this, and this bear gets addicted to cocaine and wreaks havoc. And just so you know, you animal lovers out there, no animals are seen killed in this film. So, but the cast is very funny. The little side stories that bring them into the situation. It's filmed in Georgia. It takes place part of it in Georgia as well. And it was highly entertaining. I highly recommend it. I enjoyed it more than Ant-Man and the Wasp in Quantumania. It was so much fun.
Oh, and then we need more movies like this. That's just absolutely fun.
Yeah.
Before we get out of here too, Kevin, I got to give a quick shout out. My local comic book shop, I'm good friends with the owner. That's called Titan Comics. He also collects a lot of collectible vintage toys and things like that. Well, he gave me the hookup because I grew up being a huge fan of Mask, and I used to have all the original Mask toys. And obviously, I had to give up so many toys when I moved from Alaska to Florida. It still breaks my heart when I think about it because, ouch. But he made a purchase of some 8 great 80s toys, including Kevin. He got complete sets of Centurion action figures.
Oh, wow. Those are hard to find. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and these are in good shape. Well, he posted a video and I reached out to him. I was like, I need the Mask stuff. So he put it aside and hooked me up with a Rhino.
Holy cow. Look at that thing.
Pretty good condition.
Wow.
Obviously you watching on this YouTube live show can see it. I mean, it's an 80s toy. It's got a little rough.
That's not a transformer. What is that, Kyle?
This is Mask, where illusion is the open weapon. And of course, too, he also hooked me up with the Mask Condor vehicle.
Oh, I used to have that, dude. I don't have it anymore.
One Mask figure like everybody owned, but it was one of my favorites.
That thing is great. But I have this, Kyle.
Yes, you have the Hurricane, which was originally named the Night Stalker. Its name changed for some obvious reasons.
Yeah, check that out. Yeah.
Oh, I think we got some attention with Centurions too.
Yes, and of course it's got the little guy inside with the mask. It's pretty cool. I love this thing. This thing is so cool.
Hey, you know what? We can all be children at our own time and collect our favorite action figures. But you know, it's these off the wall things that make it fun.
Yeah, definitely.
So, but this has been fun. It's been glad to be back live and doing some Mandowatch. Kevin, I'm excited. We're going to be doing this for the whole season, exclusive to YouTube, the Fandom Podcast Network's YouTube channel. I want to thank everybody who's participated in the chat. I am excited for the way the rest of this is going to go. And for those of you who are watching on YouTube, please remember to subscribe, give us a like, share us out to your friends. Of course, you can also find all the great podcasts from the Fandom Podcast Network on our master feed at fpnet.podbean.com. And of course, we are on all major podcast catchers apps, including iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio. You can contact us. You can find us on Facebook, Fandom Podcast Network page. Email us at fandompodcastnetwork@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram at Fandom Podcast Network or on Twitter at FanPod Network. I'm Kyle. You can find me on Twitter at AKyleW or on Instagram at AKyleFandom. Kevin, where can people find you as you quest to redeem yourself through the Mandalorian?
Well, first of all, I want to thank everyone that participated in the chat. It's so much fun to have you guys and share your comments and thoughts on this. And yes, we're going to be doing this every Friday for the Mandalorian season 3 here, and so please join us. And I'm really excited for that. I can't wait for more of these episodes. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Spartan_Phoenix. You can also, of course, find me on Facebook. And so make sure you subscribe to the channel and share it out. We much appreciate it. So yeah.
And these shows, all of these Mandowatch shows and these Culture Clashes exclusive to this YouTube channel, will be airing every week Friday at 8 p.m. So mark it in your calendars. For as long as Mandalorian season 3 runs, we will be doing this. We again thank all of you guys for supporting us and listening.
Thank you, Zalar. Appreciate you.
Yep.
Thank you.
And again, if you want more Mandalorian, go on our YouTube channel. Check out the What a Piece of Junk live watch that they guys just did last night. We had a lot of fun. You're part of that too, Kevin. I might have interjected a few things in the chat. Kevin's trying to end us with a little tongue action. So before we get booted off of YouTube, I want to thank everybody for listening. And as always, here at the Culture Class, remember, respect each other. And most importantly, enjoy your fandom.
Bye, guys.
Okay. And we are out of here, guys. I got a little technical problem, but hey, we're good. Thanks for listening, guys. Take care. We'll see you soon.